Welcome to the Explainer. Look, today we're tackling something absolutely crucial. We're going to demystify the incredibly crowded, sometimes kind of confusing, but honestly fascinating AI agent framework landscape of 2026. If you've been banging your head against the wall trying to figure out how to build a reliable digital workforce, well, you're in exactly the right place. To really understand why this matters right this very second, just get a load of this. A massive 86% of enterprise Copilot spending, which is, by the way, a staggering $7.2 billion, is literally pouring into agent-based systems this year alone. It's like the whole industry decided to shift from simple chatbots to autonomous agents overnight. And man, this market is moving incredibly fast. So, the crucial point is, with all this crazy money and momentum, there's actually a massive hitting trap. Industry projections are showing that up to 40% of these agentic AI projects might just completely fail or get canceled by 2027. And the main culprit? Simply choosing the wrong underlying framework for the job. Basically, the tech stack you pick today dictates whether your whole system actually survives in production, or if it just stays this fragile, impressive-looking prototype.
Okay, let's dive into this. First, we'll look at the 2026 digital workforce. Then, we'll break down the big three frameworks. Third, choosing your enterprise stack. Fourth, a solopreneur reality check. And finally, number 5, future-proofing your agents.
All right, jumping into Section 1, the 2026 digital workforce.
Let's just make sure we're all sharing the exact same baseline before we get into the weeds. A multi-agent framework is, at its core, software that orchestrates multiple LLM-powered agents. It's the thing handling all the gritty behind-the-scenes details. You know, message passing, managing state, tool use, handoffs, retries, the whole shebang. Honestly, think of it less like a single software tool and way more like hiring a digital workforce. These frameworks handle the routine background grind so human teams can actually focus on high-impact strategy. Instead of just spitting out answers to questions, these agents are reasoning, planning, and executing complex, multi-step projects. Okay, moving right along to Section 2, the big three frameworks. Now, right here, we've got a classic tale of two completely different philosophies. On the left, there's LangGraph. I want you to think of LangGraph as a super strict factory manager. It relies on precise state machines and gives you highly durable execution. You've got to define literally every single node and edge. Now, it definitely has a steep learning curve, but it is built like an absolute tank to survive process crashes and handle incredibly complex logic. On the right side, we've got Crew AI. Imagine Crew AI as a fast-moving startup CEO. It uses this super intuitive role-based model where you literally just assign roles, like, say, researcher or writer, to your agents. It is absolutely fantastic for fast prototyping. You can get a team up and running by Friday. Though keep in mind, it can incur higher token costs just because those agents talk to each other a lot to coordinate. And then we have the third pillar of the big three, Microsoft's AutoGen. So if LangGraph is your strict factory manager and Crew AI is your startup CEO, AutoGen is basically the boardroom moderator. With its massive v1.0 release in 2026, it is hyper-focused on structured, event-driven, multi-agent conversations. And where it really shines, like it is totally brilliant at this, is code execution. It lets agents write code, test it securely in a sandbox, and iterate on the fly. For sure, it's the absolute go-to for research teams or, honestly, anyone who's already deeply embedded in the Azure ecosystem. Which brings us to Section 3, choosing your enterprise stack. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how perfectly these frameworks actually map to real-world business needs. Just look at LangGraph. With that rigid state machine architecture, it's absolutely your best bet for complex branching workflows, where you just need total control and very high production stability. Like if you're building systems where compliance is critical, start right there. Then there's Crew AI. Its role-based setup is the clear winner if you need fast prototyping or you're doing heavy content creation, and they back that up nicely with their enterprise tier. And finally, AutoGen's conversational style is just unmatched if your day-to-day use case relies heavily on executing code or running autonomous research teams. It's really all about matching the core architecture to your specific daily reality. I do want to take a quick second to acknowledge that, hey, you might not even need one of those general-purpose frameworks at all. For example, if your enterprise is strictly mandated to use AWS, well, the AWS Multi-Agent Orchestrator routes tasks natively using Bedrock and Lambda, which is super clean. If your whole stack is OpenAI first, the OpenAI Agents SDK gives you incredibly lightweight handoffs with virtually zero friction. And if your core product is all about retrieving your own internal data, heavy RAG applications, Llama Index is literally purpose-built for exactly that. Actually, sometimes the absolute best choice is just the one that perfectly slots into the vendor stack you already paid for. All right, let's dramatically shift gears here for Section 4, the Solopreneur Reality Check. Here is a massive contrarian plot twist for you guys. Rome Thorndike from the PE Collective hit the nail on the head when he said most applications don't need multi-agent systems. The hard truth? Over-engineering is quietly killing off so many solo projects right now. A single, well-prompted agent equipped with a good set of tools can successfully handle like 80% of real-world use cases. You honestly don't always need a whole 5-agent crew just burning through your API tokens to scrape a simple website.
Let's look at a pretty brutal real-world example of what framework bloat actually looks like. So building a lead enrichment agent using a heavy, abstracted framework like LangChain, that took a solo developer 4 whole days and over 600 lines of code. Rebuilding that exact same agent using a dead simple custom Python loop and MCP took just 3 hours. 3 hours! And only 120 lines of code. When you're building alone, complexity is literally your biggest enemy. Speed and maintainability have to win out every single time.
And this brilliantly illustrates why MCP is such a total game changer for indie developers. MCP, which stands for the Model Context Protocol, is Anthropic's open standard. Basically, it acts as this universal adapter that connects AI models to your external tools and data sources. So you write just one single MCP server for your database or your CRM, and suddenly, bam, any AI model can talk to it. It is the ultimate secret weapon for solopreneurs, giving you total tool extensibility and vendor flexibility without dragging in the massive overhead of a full orchestration framework. So, if you're an indie hacker or a fast-moving technical founder, here is your exact default playbook for shipping reliable agents in 2026. Step 1. Start simple. I mean it. Write a custom loop script with direct API calls to Claude or GPT-4. Step 2. Add MCP servers to give your agent reusable access to your tools and data, which keeps you from getting locked into one vendor. Step 3. Only adopt those heavy orchestration frameworks we talked about earlier if you actually scale to 10 or more complex agents and you're really feeling the pain of managing them manually. Start simple and scale only when absolutely necessary. Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 5, future-proofing your agents. A truly massive development happening right now is the agent-to-agent, or A2A, protocol. This was initially launched by Google, but now it's backed by the Linux Foundation and over 150 different organizations. This is rapidly becoming the gold standard for secure, interoperable communication between different AI agents. As major frameworks like LangGraph and CrewAI adopt A2A, agents that were built in totally different ecosystems are going to be able to talk to each other seamlessly. The future of agents is interoperability, plain and simple, so it is absolutely vital to build with these open standards in mind today. On top of that, we have to look at how humans are actually interacting with these systems in the real world. The industry generally defines this in 3 stages. There's humans in the loop, where a human literally has to approve every single decision. There's humans on the loop, where humans supervise from a higher level and just manage the exceptions. And finally, humans out of the loop, which is just full Wild West autonomy. For production survival in 2026, the sweet spot, and honestly, the new industry standard, is rapidly becoming humans on the loop. It's all about striking that absolutely crucial balance between AI efficiency and necessary human oversight. I want to wrap up this explainer by leaving you with one final, kind of provocative thought. As you go out there and evaluate LangGraph, CrewAI, AutoGen, or even just a super simple custom Python script, you really have to ask yourself, are you building a prototype to impress, or are you building a production system to survive? Let your actual business needs, your demand for reliability, and your true scale drive your framework choice, not just whatever hype is trending today. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into the source material. And hey, I highly encourage you to get out there, experiment, and find the digital workforce that actually works for you.